Hi everybody, welcome back to my LinkedIn Live. I'm Jasmine Navarro, certified wellbeing expert, working with educational institutions and companies, helping them with their family wellbeing challenges. As you know, every week I interview different experts, and today I'm very, very, very excited to be interviewing Meghna. Hi Meghna, how are you doing?
Hello, thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for coming on. I'm so excited. This is probably one of the best titles ever. So can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do?
So, I like to call myself a pattern breaking expert for high achievers, which
Oh,
means
wow.
I work across a lot of different areas. And, the patterns can be money, potential, relationships, habits. But I'm deeply passionate about one specific area, and that is working with people who have everything but love. And that's why the title.
Wow. And do you want to tell us a little bit about, why this is so important to you?
I'll tell you, yeah. So there's two reasons for it. One is I've been through it. My story is such that I was in the advertising world, corporate, corner office. I achieved a lot before I turned 30. I was also married. One thing
Wow.
went up, one thing went down. I could clearly see how me being a high achieving woman was impacting how I showed up in the relationship. So that was one. The second thing was while I was doing this, I had the opportunity to work with some big actors, okay? People that I
Did
looked
you?
up. Yes. And I'm talking about Bollywood and stuff. So, and when I was working with them, I saw one particular actress that I really looked up to cry and crumble down when she was at her shoot. And that moment, I think something changed in me. And I was like, wow. So she doesn't have everything going for her. Like, I looked up to her. I felt like, wow, like this is the perfect life. Everyone wants to live this life. But no. And I felt like that's when I realized that relationships, love, and being a high achieving person, man or woman, there's a huge disconnect in these two areas of their life. And then I spent a lot of time trying to understand why this is such. And now a lot of my clients are high achieving women and men who struggle in this area. And I can tell you a lot more about, why this is happening.
Tell us why this is happening, because I know lots of men, women who, they seem to have it all professionally, but in their personal lives, it's just not happening.
One of the main reasons, okay, it's layered, it's got a lot of different layers to it, but one of the main reasons is actually the muscle that you need to become a high achieving person is the same muscle that blocks you from finding love.
No.
It is. Now think about it, right? Like when you are a high achieving person, you love control, you love being independent, you're go, go, go. You like to
Yeah.
predict outcomes. You like to do all of that because you're a high achieving person. And that also, in my opinion, is a trauma response, becoming this high
Yes.
achieving person, right? And then when you show up in a relationship with all those characteristics because you can't switch it off when you come home, and that works against you from actually building connection and intimacy and being vulnerable. So it's whatever really makes you successful in that area really depletes you in the area of relationships. That's one. The second reason that I've noticed, especially in women, is I very strongly believe that our life is a reflection of our self-worth and not our net worth, right? So, and
Yeah.
self-worth is can be very area specific. So you can have extremely high self-worth when it comes to success and money and
Yeah.
career, and
Mm.
very low self-worth when it comes to relationships and love. And a perfect example, and this again is something that you'll see with a lot of celebrities, right? For example, Marilyn Monroe, like totally desired by the world, but a string of bad relationships where she was treated so poorly and she put up with it. And then you can look at the Kardashians or whoever you want, like, so that you can have high self-worth in one area and really low self-worth in one area. And
Mm.
that shows in your partner choices.
Absolutely. And even you can have low self-worth in both areas, can't
Oh,
you?
100%. And that'll be the reflection of your life. So, when I'm
Yeah.
talking to somebody and I'm like, if you want to see, which area of your life needs, you have low self-worth, and you just need to look at your life. Whichever area is struggling, you know that you have low self-worth in that area.
I
It's
mean,
quite simple.
it's quite simple, isn't it? It's quite simple. We just have a question here on YouTube. Hi, Sarah. How are you doing? She says, do you think high achievers prioritize success over connection, or is it more unconscious than that? You've kind of just answered that. But
Yeah, and it's two-way. I feel like there are four areas in our life: health, wealth, relationships, and growth. And when I say growth, I mean peace and purpose. You need to have those two to be happy. And what happens is, as high achievers, we try to go all in into one or two areas. Like we're just obsessed
yeah,
about that one area, and we really excel in it, and we don't know how to create balance in the other areas. So, I'm a strong believer in you can have it all. You absolutely can have it all if you know two things. One, how to balance, which is important, which we're not taught how to do, because
no,
you grow up and your worth gets attached to achievement, and you focus on achieving, and then your connection drops down. And the second thing is you have to learn to prioritize the right thing at the right time.
oh, that's interesting.
What I'm seeing, especially with men, I mean, let's zoom in on genders now, because it
Yes,
shows up
okay.
in genders, right? So when you look at women, I feel like because they are achieving so much at work and all of that, they have to be in a little bit of their masculine energy, which is chase, go, control, and when they come home, they bring
Yes.
that energy. And
Yeah,
when you
yeah.
bring that energy, two things happen. If you're single, you're attracting passive men. And
Oh,
you're also over giving, over functioning, you're burnt out in the relationship, because you are doing the same thing that you did at work at home, and now you
yes.
feel you're carrying load. There's resentment, there's disconnection, all of that. That's what's happening with women in my experience. With men, they tend to bookmark relationships for later. So
Oh,
okay, I'm going to build all of this, and we'll come to this when we need to come to this. Okay. And then what happens in that period is that they've lost connection, because relationships are living organisms. Like you need to feed it to grow. Like at any given point in time, your relationship is either growing or deteriorating. There's no, like,
yes.
it's stagnant. So if you don't prioritize it, then that's what's going to happen. And
Mm,
the other thing that I work a lot with men on is this outsourcing connection and buying intimacy. I mean, OnlyFans, I mean, porn, I mean, all of that, right? So
yeah.
if you look at the statistics, OnlyFans is an $8 billion industry. 2.6 billion comes from US. And
Wow.
it's not about sex anymore. It's just about feeling chosen. So men do not want the responsibilities that hold you down of being in a relationship, or that's how they perceive it. And now you have a transactional relationship where you believe you're in control, just like, you are in control of your business, high achieving mentality. But what's happening is it's making them lonelier. And
Mm,
if you see, loneliness is considered a public health epidemic, like right now.
totally. And why does it make us lonely? I know it does, but why does that make you lonely? Because it's
So
not.
I'll go back to the Harvard study. Okay, the Harvard study, which was done across 80 years, I'm sure you've heard of it. The biggest parameter that decides your happiness is not your health, not wealth, not money. It is the quality of your
Oh,
relationships.
yeah.
So
Yes.
we are, human beings are social creatures. We need that connection, and everything starts when you're a baby. Like, why are you so hell bent on high achievement? Because somewhere you learned that that's how I'll be loved. It's as
Mm,
simple as that. Like, I showed up with good grades. My mom gave me more attention. I got more love. There you go. Okay, so I think that's the formula to success. That's the formula to be chosen, to be loved, to get attention. And boom, 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 I rack up my degrees. Right? So, it all boils down to love and how we feel in a human connection.
mm.
So,
So
men,
interesting.
yeah, men are doing that. And that's why the OnlyFans and all of that, those industries are booming, but they're still lonely, and you're getting physically sick, you know?
Wow. It's so interesting what you're saying. So where So where do we start? So to all those high achievers out there who are lonely, like what would you say, where do they start? Because it's, they're probably busy, not enough time and all of this. That's what I hear as well. There's just not enough time to meet anybody, not enough time to socialize, too tired, exhausted, all of these things. So where can we start?
I think it's all about, there are two things. There's awareness and prioritizing. If it is
Yeah,
important to you, you're going to prioritize it, right? It's as
yeah,
simple as if it's not,
yeah,
it's not, right? Like you're
yeah.
not going to wake up and be like, I don't have time to brush because I have an email to send. No, because, you prioritize brushing, you're going to do it. So for me, my personal story, I was divorced at 32 and I was like, okay. And I was very successful in my career at that point in time. And then I realized that no, it is truly important for me to be in a relationship where I'm seen and loved and all of that. And I had to make that a priority. And now
Wow.
and so I feel like
Wow.
that's and the awareness that I was actually choosing passive partners. Like it's not on them. I had to zoom out of like obsessing about why is he like that and bring all the attention back to me and be like, why am I choosing him? That's where
Mm.
it changes, right? And for men specifically, like you can bookmark relationships for later. And it is very possible to build business and love together. That is a misconception. Like who on earth told us we can't have it all? Is there a source to that belief?
Yeah.
Sorry,
You're right.
yeah.
We've got a question here from Nora. Hi, Nora. How are you doing? She says, very important topic. Many of her clients struggle with finding love. What would be your advice to someone very successful career-wise but lonely? What we're talking about now, actually.
I think bringing awareness to yourself and understanding why it is that you are in this situation is important.
Oh,
It is important. It is important to understand, okay, I am, say, 38 and now I don't have a relationship. Why is that? Because I made certain choices in life. And once you zoom in that, you'll be like, okay, it feels like I have, some self-worth issues in that area,
yeah.
and then work on it. And which is what, as a hypnotherapist, is what I work on, right? Like changing your subconscious beliefs, because somewhere you felt, I am not lovable, I am not worthy of relationships. And these are not conscious beliefs. Like you don't walk around thinking you're not lovable. Like I don't think Marilyn Monroe walked around thinking she's not lovable or desirable or worthy, right? It's so deep rooted. And achievement is the mask we put on it. We're like, you want to know what I bring to the table? I am the table. There you go. So that's how high achievers approach it. So I think, first step would be to understand yourself better, figure out where the issues are, and then consciously prioritize this area of your life, because it is important in your overall well-being.
No, I love exactly what you're saying, because basically what you're saying is there's not a quick fix, is there really?
It's
Well,
not.
there's not. No.
No.
And it's about digging deep, because like you said, it's probably going to be our, beliefs that we have subconsciously,
Yes.
not that we're even aware of.
No, in my experience, it has taken anywhere between 3 to 6 months for my clients to go out and actually find people, like, so which is happens. And I think 3 to 6 months is not that long. Like we're not talking about years of work. I think 3 to 6 months can do it for you.
Yeah.
But it's important to prioritize that area of your life for sure.
And I just want to say, Meghna is an amazing RTT therapist, like one of the best I've ever met. So yeah, you've definitely got a gift there. So totally recommend you here. We've got another question here from Bob on YouTube. Bob says, why do people who are confident and successful in their careers often feel uncertain or vulnerable in relationships?
See, with careers, it's very interesting. You can predict the outcome. You're like, I'm putting in X, this is going to come. To a certain degree, you can predict it. Like hard work, okay, promotion. I know in relationships, there's two people involved. You're not in a relationship with an inanimate object. It's another human. So they have expectations. You need to show up. And I think for all high achievers, vulnerability is an issue. It's our mask. We just don't want to be vulnerable. I think that it's very difficult to drop that mask when you get home. So even at home, you're like, I'm in control, I got this. And that really disturbs connection and intimacy between two people.
Yeah. No, definitely. That makes sense. It's the vulnerability. So you think it's all about being vulnerable?
No, I don't think
Yeah.
so. I think it's about the subconscious belief of whether I can be loved, whether I am lovable. I think it starts over there. I think that will decide who you even choose, right? I have a very, very strong belief, and I know there is research to say that you meet people at the same level of your psychological wound, right? And
Yeah.
what happens is, like I always tell my clients that, you are not picking your partner, your trauma is. Whatever your trauma is, he's going to be or she's going to be a mirror of that. So if you
Wow.
grew up in a house where you had to earn attention, you are going to be with a partner that is going to make you earn attention.
Wow.
You to do it. So you really have to peel back the layers and, like clean up all that mess that has happened in the past, consciously, subconsciously. I know parents usually have the best intention, and at least from the part of the world that I come from, it is a form of motivation. Like criticism is used as a form of motivation. So, you know, you know
Yeah.
you, yeah, like you got 95, what happened to the rest of the five, so that's it's just the way we're approached. And then you end up seeing a lot of high achievers come out of that energy, but not a lot of happy people.
Interesting. Another question from YouTube from Mike. Hi, Mike. How you doing? He says, which we're sort of talking about, what are the most common patterns you see in high performers when it comes to love and relationships?
Like I said, I think there's two. With women, I see that they have a lot of low self-worth in that area. Like they
Yeah.
are supremely successful, but when it comes to men, they're accepting breadcrumbs, they're choosing passive people. And what ends up happening is they are overperforming at work and overperforming at home. And that leads to resentment and eventually a breakdown of the relationship. So what needs to happen in that case is actually work on your self-worth. So you first make the right choice, and pick the right person for yourself. Or if you're already in a relationship, you're able to manage it better. So it all goes back to your self-worth and asking for your needs to be met. Because it's so simple. Like when you are a high achiever, you are independent. When you are independent, the subconscious belief is not that I don't need anyone or I can't rely on anyone.
Oh,
And
yeah.
are so disruptive to having a fulfilling relationship.
Are
And
they?
with
How come?
yeah, so and with men, it's again like, I feel like you cannot use escapism in relationships. You cannot outsource. You really need to understand that. And I'm not saying all, like that is the only pattern, but that is a significant chunk of the work that I do and that I'm seeing in my clientele as the pattern.
Mm.
They're using fillers for it.
And just to ask, just to say, because you mentioned, you might think, oh, I can't rely on anybody. I can't rely on somebody. I actually think that quite a lot. So, yeah. So why is that bad then? Because why does that stop you from being in a relationship?
It closes the door. It closes the door. Like if you ask me, I'm a very independent woman, but do I rely on my husband for it? Absolutely. Absolutely. He fills my cup and I fill the cup for my children. So, it's just, it has to be cohesive. But in the past, I was like, I don't need you. So when I have that approach, I'm operating in my masculine energy. I have closed doors to receiving. I am not receiving anything.
Yes. But relying on what? Like when you say you rely on your husband, but rely on what? Because we have to do things ourselves.
Oh, I'm not talking about tasks, right? I'm not talking about tasks. I'm
Okay.
talking about like, being vulnerable. I rely on him for support, for love. Like I rely on him. And when I was in my corporate high achieving, overly chase energy, I couldn't do that. It would break a piece of me to even say that to say the sentence that I rely on somebody for like love and support. Admit it. Never.
So it's about being vulnerable with him as well, then it's being vulnerable, basically, emotionally vulnerable.
And being open to receiving. Being open to receiving. I think that, Jasmine, the women have such a big block around it. A lot of women have such a big block around it. Like, if I told you look stunning right now, you're going to deflect it. You're going to give me 10 reasons to be like, oh, no, this, I did, whatever. You're not going to be like, thank you.
Yeah.
And what you do with compliments is like a great example of how
Mm.
open you are with receiving. And if
Yes,
you
absolutely.
compliment, you're not receiving love. So sometimes getting love is not the problem, but your door is like more than half closed.
Mm. So interesting. So interesting. Another question here on YouTube from Mike again. Thank you, Mike. So, how do you balance ambition and vulnerability without feeling like you're losing your edge?
I think it starts with understanding that you don't need to have your edge in a relationship, in the right relationship. I think it starts
Okay.
with that, right? It's like, it's not I'm one upping. Like at work, I was always one upping. I had to do better than the person sitting in the next office to be seen. I don't need
Mm.
that. I shouldn't feel like I need to do that at home. And that's when I know that I've made the right choice. Because it starts with the choice. It starts with the partner. Is the partner seeing you? Are you being understood? Or have you chosen somebody who has chosen you for other reasons like your
Oh,
achievement?
wow. That's, yeah. It really is so much about awareness, then, isn't it? So,
It's
I guess,
100% about awareness. Like I have a client who's like, oh, you know what? I think she's with me for the money. I said, you led with it. You led with money. Now you're complaining that she is with you for the money. Why did you
yeah.
lead? Did you lead with connection? Did you lead with being vulnerable? Did you lead with that? Because then you would pick a person who chooses you.
Wow. That's so interesting. That's so interesting because sometimes we pretend we're somebody else, not somebody else, but we give off that illusion maybe. And
Yeah,
then you,
if your worth is attached to achievement, you're going to lead with achievement. If your
yeah.
worth is attached to beauty, which happens with a lot of women, you're going to lead with beauty. And then you're like, oh, but he doesn't care about this. But I was like, you only led with this. So
Wow.
and you've chosen the partner who chose you because you're beautiful. So now and you have disregarded all the other things. Everything's important. It's like
Mm.
pieces of the puzzle.
Yeah.
So I think with men, you don't need to have the edge at home. And being vulnerable at home doesn't mean that you can't be a mega star at work or in business. Actually, the if I can just take it one level further,
Yeah.
the blend of masculine and feminine energy, if it comes together, like if you have the right spouse, you can excel. You can really, really, really do magical things if you have that with you, because that is how we were created.
The right support. Yeah. Wow. Wow. So, so interesting. And just go back, when you say lead with something, lead with achievement, lead with beauty, you just mean that's what you're focusing on.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. I
Mm.
feel like a lot of men, they, at least what I'm seeing right now in my clientele, I'm not generalizing anything by any means, is that when you're leading with transaction, then do not complain about, her having the control to say no, because it's a transaction at the end of the day. And even like when I say using stuff like OnlyFans, the illusion is that you're in control. When
Yes.
men lead with achievement, the illusion is that they are in control. Like, oh, I'm
Mm.
doing everything, I'm providing whatever. But
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
it's not conducive to a relationship that is going to feel fulfilling at the end of the day.
Mm.
You have to
Amazing.
be
Amazing.
sure.
Amazing, Meghna. We could talk about this for so long. You've got so much wisdom on this topic and other topics as well. But we're running out of time. But what else would you like to mention before we go that you
I
haven't?
think if there's one thing that I want someone to take from this conversation, is that you can have it all. Like, you don't have
Oh,
to, you don't have to think that, oh, just because I'm successful here, that's why I can't have this. Like, you can have it all. And trust me, it's easier than you think.
so it's just about. So if you are a high achiever and you're not in love, it's about working on yourself then.
Yeah, absolutely. I think,
Mm.
understanding yourself, understanding your subconscious beliefs that have protected you from being in a relationship for so long, because it's always for good reason. You really need to figure out what those are and rewire it, change it, and it's totally possible.
Wow. And can people do this by themselves, or would they definitely have to hire or
You
work
would
with a coach
need to hire
therapist?
somebody. Even I have a therapist, because the awareness that I have when I'm talking to other people, like I have blind spots. I can't go back and say, oh, I think you have this. You need someone else to point that out to you, frame it for you, because we are all puppets of our mind, right? So the stories that we're going to tell ourselves to get out of it are going to be very interesting. So we really need support on that.
Amazing. No, thank you so much, Meghna. Can you put all of your links to your Instagram, to any other links that you have on the post, so people can click on there and find you? And how can people find you?
So my link on Instagram is Light Feels Good. And my website is Illuma Therapy, ILUMA therapy.com. And and LinkedIn.
Amazing.
Amazing.
Yeah. If you put them all on the post as well, that'll be amazing. And thank you so much, Meghna. It's absolutely lovely to see you.
Thank you for having me.
If anybody is interested in learning more about this topic, please message Meghna. And if you have any questions, ask Meghna too, or you can leave a comment on the post. And thank you so much, Meghna. And I'll see everybody next week.
Thank you.